Was AI used in development? Yes, for code only, no AI art or assets were generated. Let's talk about that. So Mario Kart Wii Recomp is a pretty freaking cool project, all things considered. It is an attempt by the fans to make a PC port of the original game. Like, they are taking the source code and then making a version that's native to PC. That is really cool. I love that. And obviously right now, it's a dream come true, but as you can see, there's a discourse happening right now because of this quick Q&A answer that they've provided. And I feel like it's important to give my 2 thoughts on this. From those of you who are on main channel, you would know that I am an artist. I literally make sprites for my videos. But for those of you who are diehard fans would know that I'm a programmer too. I've made video games and I've posted them on my itch.io page. It isn't much. I do want to become a proper video game developer with like a full studio and stuff, but that's gonna have to wait for a little bit. And I think as a result, as somebody who has the skills of both worlds, I have a good standing in talking about this issue. I just want to start off with the first blanket statement of the discourse, because there are people who are going to be asking, is AI generated code the same thing as AI generated art? I'm gonna give you the straight answer here. No. That doesn't mean it doesn't come with issues though. Here's the thing, code culture and art culture, they're not the same thing. Some of you might have seen that meme going around where it's like the 2 crying meme faces going like, you stole my art, and then the bottom panel is like, hey dude, I stole your code. It's not my code. A lot of coding as it is repurposing someone else's code for your own, and that is just what AI generated code literally is. Code ownership has never really been a thing unless someone wants it to be a thing, which is the case for like Project Hero, which is that fantastic Sonic fan game that probably has like my favorite physics ever in any Sonic created media in general, but all the code for that game is private. You would literally have to like hack into the assembly code and then get it out, which would be against this programmer's wishes. In this case, the ROM file is available for anyone. Generally speaking, it's not illegal to steal code. It's part of the culture. But in this case, that's not part of what it is, right? Because the biggest argument for AI generated art is that it's theft and it's devoid of creative input, which doesn't really apply in the coding case, right? But that doesn't mean it doesn't come with its own issues, because there are aspects of AI generated code that is also a problem with AI generated art. For one thing, vibe coding. Everyone knows about vibe coding, which is when you use AI to code basically the whole thing for you. And yeah, no, that's a problem. Another universal flaw that is between using both versions of the code is imperfection. It's not gonna be perfect code. They are just, for the most part, copying code that they're seeing online. Even if they have their own intelligence, they're prone to making mistakes. The best AI generated code is like a mid-level programmer. At least to most people, that's kind of how it is. It can do anything to a jugaad extent, which means like it'll work, but it won't work that good. Because the issue isn't just that it's theft, because like I said, that's just part of the culture. It's specifically the idea of how much work was put into it. We are a species that appreciate when someone puts the effort for something, whether it's to create their own style, whether it's to create their own music, whether it's to create their own game, whether it's to anything really. Obviously, when you have to see someone who just puts in a prompt and uses the prompt to make it as accurate as possible, it feels kind of terrible to see that happen. This is the biggest argument that really exists for AI generated code. The work is not yours. And while I understand where that's coming from, a really good programmer doesn't vibe code to begin with. Let me actually point out a misconception about recomps, because I'm seeing a lot of Twitter comments say that, oh, all recomps use AI. It should be fine, right? No, not all recomps use AI. Super Mario 64's recomp did not use AI as far as I'm aware. Most recomps, if they can, will make the code by hand. Painstakingly, they will read the assembly language that makes up the entirety of the game and turn it into a language that the computer can accept. AI assisted code though is a different thing, and I'm assuming that that's what this game is doing. What is AI assisted code? The idea is that you tell the code to do the coding for you, but you don't use the code itself. You instead read the code, see what it's trying to go for, and use your own programming knowledge to make the code more optimized, to make the code better, and then work from there. Because in the end of the day, the best programmer with the best knowledge is better than AI. Consistently, it will always be that way, because AI is built on the average human error and not the topmost human error, which is pretty mid-level, all things considered. Which is fine. That's basically code culture. We steal the code and then repurpose it for something better. We still make sure we understand the code and can work from there with it. As a general consensus for everyone watching, AI vibe coding is generally not something I am okay with or agree with, but AI assisted coding, everyone does that now. Literally every single programmer does that now. And it's fine, because you're still making sure that everything makes sense. You're still using your knowledge to apply it and make sure that whatever ChatGPT or Claude AI or Copilot is telling you works just fine. But now comes my specific issue with this. Is not the fact that AI was used to make the code. It's not the AI generated code versus AI generated art discourse. It's the question itself. Like, I'm reading the question right now. It's a pretty loaded question. I don't like how short this answer is. Just to say yes for code only doesn't clarify the very important distinction of whether this was entirely vibe coded or whether this was code reviewed, which is what AI assisted code is. It's I'm reviewing the code and then making it better and making it work for me, or making it work in general in this case because you're working with open source code and translating it to a different language like C#. And this really should have been clarified. Looking at the footage, I don't see any game-breaking bugs, but to be fair, that is a trailer. You can hide anything in a trailer and make it look good, but it does beg to question what is the extent of your AI use here. That really should have been clarified. I'm glad that no AI art or assets were generated. It doesn't make sense for a recomp to do that anyway. All the assets are in the game itself. Obviously that wasn't gonna be the case. This question really should have been answered a little bit more precisely. The truth of the matter is there are recomps out there that were mostly vibe coded. Those recomps are buggy messes and they're really not fun. So if this can be clarified, that would be really important and really good. I genuinely think in this case it's AI assisted, mostly because they're very, very vocally saying, no, we don't AI generate the art and assets, which to me means they care about the effort that's going into it. I'm not gonna get onto the other side of the Twitter discourse that's talking about whether programming is art. I wouldn't say it's art, but I will say that it's personal. The purpose of programming will always be function over form, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have form. People are designing how their IDEs look. People have different ways of doing simple coding stuff. For example, if you're having an if statement with only one line right after it, do you code it like this or do you code it like this? I code it like this, but many people would like to code it the other way. Some people code it like this. I don't want to know you, but generally speaking, that's less of art and more just personal preference. These are the same lines of code, but applied for different purposes. Like if I were to explain AI assisted code in a way that makes sense to people who make art, because obviously the word AI is still a very like bleh thing for a lot of people, and I get that. Think of it as, hey, I want to think of a good like pose for my art to have, but I can't think of anything really. So I'm gonna just go to ChatGPT and ask them to just generate some poses. And if I like one, I'm gonna find some more references of that specific type of pose and just work from there and just make my art from there. It's not nearly as bad as having them make the whole art for you. I don't think it's that bad. I feel like I do need to mention this just generally speaking. Programming culture is very different from art culture. It's not the same thing. Like I said, stealing code is just norm with us. We will just do it because most of the people who made the code and put it out there kept it out there so that we didn't have to deal with how annoying some of these bugs can be. It is almost like asking ChatGPT to solve a math problem, but with some differences. Obviously, I think it's more impressive if a recomp was completely made by hand, and it would be a lot more bug-free than using AI-assisted tools. But AI-assisted code is faster. It's very much faster. And if you're a good programmer, you will very much not have any of the issues that would come with just having everyone generate the code for you.